Hey guys, Glenn here, and I'm going to do a quick review, hopefully a quick review, on the Blind Horse Knives GNS. So this knife was put out by Blind Horse Knives along with Self-Reliance Illustrated magazine toward the end of 2013. So this was one of the first ones, in the first offering. I actually got this before it was available to the public on the initial offering of the knife, and as you see, it has a Blind Horse stamp here, but on this side of the blade it has the Self-Reliance Illustrated stamp. So it's a really nice knife. The GNS stands for Go No Show, because they wanted to make a knife that was just something you could just beat, and believe me, I do beat it. I clean it up from time to time, but I beat the snot out of this knife, and it's one of my favorite ones. So the way this knife comes is with a dangler sheath like this. And it has a nice ferro rod loop on the side of it. Very well made sheath. Got a welt in there and it's sealed, and got this guy down here so you can put a lanyard around your leg if you want to or whatever. But it is a dangler sheath. You can order it, I believe, with a belt sheath, but they basically come stock with a dangler sheath, and I'll tell you right now, if you try to get this Chicago screw rivet out of here, it's not going to happen, because these things are put together with Loctite, so you're not going to get that screw apart. So don't even try. The only thing you can do is get this D-ring off of here or cut it. So that's what I did with this, because this is the sheath that I've been using for this knife, because I don't really like danglers just because they flap around too much for me. They have a purpose, definitely. If you have your backpack on that has a waist strap on it, the waist strap can cross your sheath loop and you can still use the knife. So it has its purpose, but generally I just carry this guy right up high on my belt. So it fits down in almost all the way in. This has been wet fit, so it stays in, but I have dropped it out of there carrying it around and stuck myself in the toe, so don't do that. So that's the way I carry it there. So the knife itself is 01 tool steel. You got your designation right there, that's 0, that's 01 tool steel. The thickness, I think this is 1/8. I'd have to look back, can't remember, but I'm pretty sure this is a 1/8. The sharpened edge is 4 1/4. The overall length of this knife is 9 1/4, just a little bit over 9 1/4. The handle scales on this one are natural micarta, which are darkening because natural micarta will darken with age. And these are polished. This one came polished. Like I said, this is getting close to a year old. I've had this for just about a year. And I keep it clean. There's no reason to let it get nasty. It's just, you know, when the sap gets on it and everything from using it, I keep it clean. I clean it off. WD-40 does two things. It seals up the steel and protects it from corrosion, plus it also cleans it. And WD-40 is water displacement formula number 40, so it definitely drives the moisture out, and I don't really have a lot of trouble with corrosion on this knife. So this knife, being a spear point, is very nice. I love it. This one has a saber grind on it, but the one that is available now is also available. It may be in a limited amount, but they may extend it in a Scandi grind. So if you guys like your Scandi grind, this is available in a Scandi and a saber. Now, I hadn't done a review on this because if you know about Blind Horse knives, they dissolved in 2013 around December. So with Blind Horse doing this knife with Self-Reliance Illustrated, it got a little tough to get. But fortunately it is available again, and it was re-offered with the Scandi grind, and it's being made by LT Wright knives. So LT Wright handmade knives along with Self-Reliance Illustrated is still offering this knife. If you want to get it, you're going to have to go to Self-Reliance Illustrated magazine site, and you can order it from there. It's available now with green micarta scales that are sandblasted, so if you don't like the high polish, then you can get that, and also the different grind. The one thing that I really like about this knife is the tip, because this knife allows you to do a lot of things. You can do real fine carving with the pointy tip. It batons really well, which we'll do that in a second. So here's like the difference of the two. So there's quite a bit of tip that comes down to this small point. So I really like using this knife. And here's an old feather stick that was laying out here, so maybe we'll see how it does on that. Let's get it started here, but this knife is always carved really well. Try to make some real fine ones there. It just rolls them up. And you got some fine ones you can get. Let's get some big stuff here. That's a big thick. You can go with the little stuff. That tip, being as fine as it is really good. Now if you want to do some hand carving, or you gotta carve a notch or something, I'll get right up on the tip. You can make real small notches with this thing. Especially an internal notch, you know, if you got to make a hole. And you got this real point. So I like the point. Get rid of some of this junk off the back, but you can really pull up some feather sticks with this thing. Get the junk off of there first. Well, you get the idea of that. And then as far as batoning goes, yeah, it batons really well. They don't really get the batoning thing. This seems to be the big popular thing, to beat your knife through a stick of wood, but which I can't expect is really good for the knife. You know, it's something that you got to learn, and everybody does it. If I can get that little piece back in there. Let's split off too soon. But it works good for batoning. This piece got a little burn up on the end, came out of the fire pit. I've used this knife to baton some pretty big stuff. Actually bigger than, or wider diameter logs than the length of the blade, and maybe I'll show a video on how to do that sometime soon. But yeah, it definitely does the job. But batoning, I mean, you start beating the snot out of your knife, which I can't believe is good for the knife to have all the shock going through the handle and hitting the rings. And it's something that you may have to do sometime if you don't have your axe, which that's the tool for that job. So it's good to learn it, but it does baton very well. So that's it. That's the GNS. Available again at Self-Reliance Illustrated magazine. So if you're interested in that, check it out. I'm sure you will be happy with it. The one thing we didn't do was a good old ferrule rod. I'll clean this guy off. So here's your fireworks for the end of the show. There you go, boys.